If you like taking your pup to run errands with you, you want to make sure that your dog is ready for some of the things that you're going to come across while you're out and about handling things in town. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about how you can manage car manners for when you are going to be taking your dog through things like drive-thrus or curbside pickups at stores. Now, we have a whole playlist on traveling and on car manners and how to build those up, whether you have a brand new puppy or a dog who is kind of fearful of the car and you're teaching them those manners. So I'll link that down below. But once you get through the basics, the staples, the being able to be in the car without them barking at everything that they see while you are sitting in a parking lot in a busy store and all of those steps, now we're going to a place where you are going to be moving in a car and you're going to have one of the windows down. So the first thing you need to make sure you do is have a seatbelt as your priority. Get your dog clipped in, because if that front person's window is going down, whoever's driving is at some point going to have to lower that window to talk to the drive-thru people, to talk to the person who is delivering the curbside delivery from a store. That window's going down. So your dog needs to be strapped into the back seat. You are doing this from the back seat. Now, it is of course going to be different if you have a dog in a crate in the very back. If you are so lucky as to have a car or a vehicle that accommodates that, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to sit in the back, you're going to train them from there. But for most of us, you are going to have a seatbelt clipped into the back seat with your dog, and you're going to have someone else driving the car, and you need to sit in the back with your dog for the beginning part of this training. Now, as you progress, you of course do not have to be in the back seat. You can move to the front seat while someone else is driving and turn around to instruct your dog when needed. And then you can get to the point where you can drive with yourself and the dog alone without having to have anybody else there. But baby steps with this process. So you want to make sure somebody else is driving and you're going to practice this. Your dog is clipped into the back. The first thing that you're going to do is have your dog across the car from the open window. So the driver is in the front. Your dog needs to be in the back seat in the opposite corner, literally as far from that window as possible. And you yourself want to be in between the dog and the window. Your dog is looking across your chest to see through that window. You are there to put your arm out to block them. You are there to instruct, and you are physically in between the dog and where that open window is going to be. So as you do this, you are going to start your training, and you're going to do it very hands-on. So as always, when we're training with cars and for car manners, you are putting your hands on your dog's shoulders, on your dog's chest, on your dog's back, and communicating through your words and through your touch. You are going to actively be giving them instructions and explain what they're seeing. We're pulling up to the window. We're going to open the window. Do you see how the window is open? Now somebody's going to be there. We're going to talk to somebody. You're going to talk them through it like they are a small child. Tell them what they're going to see so they know what to expect. And they're going to start learning your mannerisms, the way that you're speaking to them, the words that you're saying. They're going to start to figure that out. So you are restraining them in the far corner as that window goes down. Now, I do recommend that you are maybe doing this through a drive-through a couple of times before you do a curbside pickup, but it's totally up to you. I kind of like the movement of going through a drive-through because it kind of triggers some of those signals so that your dog is more prepared. When they know that things are happening, it gives them that process to follow and they know what to expect. Whereas if you go to like a curbside pickup, you're pulling into a parking space, it feels different. There are not as many cues. There's not as much going on to give them that recognition of, hey, this thing is happening, this event is happening. And it kind of gives them the feeling of, oh, we're just watching out the windows if you're in curbside pickup. So I would start with the more movement drive-thrus, but you can do it either way. And so your goal here is to talk them through it. Hush, we're just watching, we're being quiet, watch the person at the window, be nice, be gentle, whatever key signals you give your dog. I train my dogs on just watch. Just watch means you are allowed to look, but you are not allowed to make noise, and you are most certainly not allowed to try to get to that person on the other side of the window. Just watch is a really great cue for us, whatever works for you. So you're sitting there, you're in between you and your dog, and you're training them. And once they get good and comfortable with that, now we're going to move over to the next step. That next step is to put them over on the driver's side. So now they're sitting directly behind the driver and you are on the opposite side of them. You're kind of over in the middle or over toward that opposite corner. And from here, once again, hands on your dog, shoulders, chest, back, whatever works for you, whatever position you happen to be in. Talk them through this. Again, we're seat belted in. We are always seat belted in for safety. And we are making sure now they have the ability to kind of stretch a little bit, but we don't want them getting up into the front seat. So they are allowed to kind of sniff through that window because that open window is going to be a real big draw for them. And you can make this determination for you and your specific dog. I'm okay letting my dogs kind of peek their heads around the corner as the window is open, but maybe before people poke their heads out of the window. If somebody is handing change to the driver or handing food to the driver, I don't want my dogs nosing that person's hands or the driver's hands. I don't want them interfering, but I will allow my dogs to explore until that window pops open and that person from the restaurant that we are getting that fast food from is sticking their head out. Same with curbside. Once that person approaches, they are back in the seat waiting patiently. So I allow them to kind of sniff and do what they want until that person shows up, and then we move ourselves back and we just watch. We're quiet, we're watching, we look through things. Now you can build this up as you go. The better they behave, the more freedom they're going to get. So at some point you're going to be hands off and you're just going to be talking to them verbally and giving them those verbal cues without the physical cues of through touch. You want to make sure you're building up their confidence and their ability to sit kindly in the back seat. You can go however far you want with this. If you want to kind of crack that back window where they're sitting so they can smell a little bit better, that's fine. If that's something you want to do so that your dog is not leaning over you when you're the driver on your shoulder, you can crack that back window so that they can kind of sniff out of that, they can see out of that. But your goal here is to train them until you don't have to give them commands. So from here, they're sitting directly behind the person who's driving, and you are working your way to being hands off and cue off. You do not necessarily want to be giving them cues all the time. You want to build up their ability to regulate themselves here. So this is going to be a little bit of a process. This is not like a 2-week thing. This is a several month, we're going to be working on this quite a bit thing. And the more you're able to then trust them, the more you can back off. So as you keep rolling up to these places where you're going to have somebody popping out of a window or walking up to your window, you want to move further and further away from your dog. From there, now you have the ability, once you are confident with your dog while you're in the back seat, you can now pop up to the front seat and leave your dog in the back seat alone, and you can still give them the verbal cues. So when you pull up to that drive-through or when you pull up to that curbside pickup, you are in the passenger seat turning around to have a conversation with your dog. You can reach behind you if you are physically capable of doing that. You can put your hands on them, pet them, whatever. You kind of start the process over a little bit just to make sure you have those verbal and physical cues. As long as they are behaving well, get yourself out of the picture. Watch them like a hawk from that front seat, but don't interfere. Let them self-regulate until they are capable of doing it by themselves. Once you're in the passenger seat and they are repeatedly able to manage themselves, now it's time to try driving by yourself to a curbside pickup, to a drive-through, to something where they are going to be experiencing these things, and you can then choose to leave them in the seat behind you or the seat opposite you so you can kind of keep your eye on them, but they have the ability and the skills to self-regulate at this point. It is a process. It is absolutely a process, and it will take you a little bit of time, and you do need a little bit of help to do it, but have you trained them as early on as you can for this, the easier it will be for the rest of this dog's life. So if you have the ability to have somebody drive with you, go buy them lunch, get something at a drive-thru, or go to Target and pick up your curbside, whatever it happens to be, again and again and again, until you have a trustworthy dog in the back of your car so that you can do this on your own when needed. And as always, seatbelting them in so no matter what, they cannot get out those windows or they cannot jump into the front of the car. Safety, 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 and safety should something happen and you get into some kind of car accident so the dog can't escape. We have lots of videos on seatbelts. We have lots of videos on car manners. We have lots of videos on training to elevate your car manners for your dog. So once your dog is doing well, there's other steps you can take to level up their training to make sure they are rock solid bomb-proof when it comes to being in your car. And so if you've got questions, go ahead and drop those down below. We drop daily videos to help you navigate the world of being a dog parent, from your car manners to traveling with your dog to documenting them through photos and videos and all the things that you need to level up for your pup and give them the best life possible. So let me know what you need help with in the comments below, and we'll see you in tomorrow's episode.